Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our ice cream truck. Now this is the prototype here, so you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. It is probably the cutest one I've seen in SVG format. I'm a little biased obviously, but I think you'll agree. But either way, we're going to start off by doing a little bit of paper piecing, getting some things glued together, and then ultimately assembling the the final structure itself. So yes, we have quite a few little details that we need to put together, and I'll take you through it one by one. We'll kind of start with some of the little ice cream cones or little popsicles. So on the doors on both sides, there's going to be 3 of these little popsicles, okay, and I've already assembled 3 of them. So you're going to have a total of 6 of these little brown pieces, which is the shadow element, okay? And then there's going to be 3 solid colors, and then you're going to match up the similar colors. So here I have a darker green and a lighter green, a darker purple, lighter purple, an orange and a yellow, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to glue this piece on to the main shadow element. Okay, so these are kind of small, but they're not horrible. Okay, so we're going to glue that on, and then with this one's going to have a lighter green on it. Okay, so we're going to get those in place, and we're just going to get all of these little pieces out of the way and ready to go for the final assembly. And that it's large enough where you can still do it without using the pick-me-up tool, I think, anyway. Okay, so here we have another one. This is my orange, and on top of it, I'm putting a little bit of yellow. So it's all in the details. And technically, if you wanted to, you could omit this, but I think it'll take away from the charm of the project, so I don't recommend it. Just go ahead and enjoy the process, and after all, it's all these little details that make these projects what they are. So why would we want to skip that? Okay, so I've got one more here. I'm doing the pink one. And there we go. So you're going to put 6 of these together. I did 3 of them off camera, just so that you don't have to watch me put together tiny little popsicles. And technically you can blow these up and make them really big if you want, since you're using SVG files. Okay, so we have a total of 6 all completed. I may or may not hit that with ink. They're so small that I don't know if you're really going to notice. Okay, next we have we've got some additional little ice cream cones and some shakes and all sorts of good stuff here. And the way this is going to go together, I'll show you here. We'll do these 2 small ones. These are going to go in the main window here. And we've got a white layer, and we have a layer that has kind of the, I want to call it the second color or the second scoop. It's got a little bit of a base built into it, okay? And it's going to go on like so. Just want to match it up with the bottom. And then, of course, you want it to hug the left-hand side of the actual ice cream. Okay, just like that. And then we have the container. It's going to go on the bottom. So we're going to do 2 of these. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of little pieces in this project, so don't be overwhelmed initially. It's okay. Got a lot of cool little tiny details there. So there's one of them. We'll do the same thing with this one. Okay, so we'll grab the white is your base. Then we have a little colored part. It's going to go right on there, just like we did with the other one. I guess I could have done this one off camera too, but there's only 2 of them, so we'll go quick. And then finally, the little container on the bottom. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so those 2 are done. Put those with the rest of them. And we have a handful of little, looks like little shakes. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start off with this layer here that has the straw and the entire little, well, soft serve portion. And then the next layer is going to be the layer that has a straw and a portion of the soft serve portion. Okay. And it's going to go right on there. Just match that up as accurately as you can. There we go. And then on top of that is going to go the layer that has just the actual cup with the portion or the section of the soft serve, not the whole soft serve. Okay, because what we're trying to do here is create a two-toned ice cream or shake, whatever you want to call it. I guess it could be either or. And then on top of that, we're going to put our little white piece. Okay. And you can decide which side you're going to put this on. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. There we go. Okay, so one of these is now complete. Just make sure you get everything lined up as accurately as you can. Put that off to the side. And we've got one more to put together. So same thing here. And flip this over, put a little bit, that's either a straw or a spoon, one of the two. I got a new mat today. It's green, it's a little bit lighter. I had a, I think that'll help you see things a little bit better in the videos. I'm not a big fan of this green color, but it seems nice and bright on camera, so we'll stick with it for a little bit, see what happens. Okay, next we're going to put on this layer here that has the container and just the soft serve part. And then finally top that off with the white. Now one of these is white, and in my case I have one that is glitter, just to change it up a little bit. And pop that right on there, very simple. Okay, so that one's done. Put that off to the side. And we've got one more little treat to put together here. Okay, and we have a brown layer that's going to be our backmost layer. And then we're going to put the glitter layer on top of the brown. So go ahead and apply your glue to the white or glitter layer if you're using glitter. Okay, then on top of that is going to go our pink layer with the pink ice cream or the pink soft serve. Okay. We'll pop that right into place. Get that to match up with the left side of the ice cream cone. Okay. And then finally, we have the little container. Just throw a little glue on there and pop that into place. And obviously, I've spent time inking pretty much every piece that could be inked. Okay, so there's our last little treat. Get that in place, put that off to the side. All right, next we're going to put together the little ice cream cone that goes on top of the truck. Okay, so you're going to need to find these two pieces here. Did this in a lime green. We're going to glue these back to back. We are not going to glue the tabs together. Okay, you want to keep those split apart so you don't forget to leave them alone. So let's get these two layers glued together. Nice and easy on the glue here. You don't need to cake it. Just go nice and easy. Grab that other piece and just sandwich them together. Okay, line that up as accurately as you can. Looks good. And you can actually if you take the tabs without glue on them, you can also use those to kind of make sure that everything is lined up accurately. Okay, and I think I did a pretty good job there. Just kind of nudging things around a little bit, making sure it's all as accurate as possible. There we go. Again, keep those tabs glue-free. Okay, next we'll take the the actual vanilla part of the ice cream, and we'll glue that on. Now you can see here that I strategically applied ink to just one side of it because we have, it's kind of dipped in some chocolate. So there's no point in inking the entire thing. It's just a waste of time and a waste of ink. Just ink the parts that need to be inked. Okay, so there's that. And then this is going to go right here. It should fit like a nice little puzzle, just like that. Get our glue on that. Okay. And I'm looking at the very end of the cone there, and then eventually it should just kind of connect right here. Here we go. And then we have one little piece here. It's going to go right down here like a little puzzle, and that's just to kind of give the cone a two-tone sort of look so it doesn't look so boring and plain. Okay, and again, I strategically inked that just at the bottom. Actually, there we go. Okay, and let's not forget our little chocolate. And it's going to go right there, like so. Okay, so we'll flip that around. And of course, we're gluing AC cardstock to glitter. So we need to make sure that we give this ample time to dry, as sometimes these two are not the best of friends. Okay, so looking at the round part of the cone, using that as kind of a reference point for placement. There we go. And that looks great. Press that down. And there's our cool looking little cone. All right, so let's flip it over. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side now. You can see how that's gonna go, like that. Okay, just making sure that it's all lining up for me nicely. And like I said, we've got a little bit of paper piecing to do just to get all these little details put together, so that once our main structure, the actual truck, is all together, you can have fun just putting it all together like an embellishment. Okay, I guess I'm going to go over here to the chocolate part this time. Doesn't really matter what order you do it in. I'm looking at the tip here, and then focusing on the round parts at the top. There we go. You can see how it likes to kind of slide around on the glitter. So make sure that once you get in a position, what I've done in the past is I've gotten it down onto my glitter and then like moved it before it fully dried, and then it dried and it was like way off, and that'll get you in trouble, so don't do that. Okay. All right, let's put the cone in place now. It's good. It's going to be a good looking truck. Like I said, I've seen, I was kind of on the fence as far as whether or not to do an ice cream truck, because it's been done a few times, but I think that once we get our hands on a project, we tend to do it better than anybody. Sorry if that sounds cocky, but it's usually true. And then on top of that, at least you get an assembly video, which no one seems to care about these days. They get the designs all done. That's not true for everyone. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but most people are just like, oh, here's the content, figure it out. Okay, all right, so there is the completed ice cream cone. Okay, next we're gonna put the little wheel section together. Okay, so you're gonna need to find these two pieces, these green pieces. We've got some black pieces. Then in this case, I have silver foil, and then we have these pieces as well. Okay, and then you're gonna find the four largest blue circles. There's also four smaller ones, okay, that are about this size. Let me put these side to side so you can see. Okay, so you can see the size on that. So find the larger blue ones, and we're gonna build this. Okay, we're gonna start off, we'll just grab one of these, and the green is gonna go on first, like so, just like that. Okay, very simple. Let's go ahead and get that glued into place. And we're gonna repeat this on the other side as well, obviously, because there's 4 wheels. Okay, so pop that into place. And let's get this one going here. I was just thinking to myself how I was gonna talk about how much I love ice cream and blah, blah, blah. You know what, actually, I don't mind it. I don't go out of my way to eat it. After doing all the inking today, I went downstairs, did a workout, and I stepped on the scale, and I was like, yeah, I'm never eating ice cream again. Okay, let's get these green ones in place now. And just get the 4th one in place, and then we'll move on to the other elements. There we go. Okay, so we've got the green parts down. Now we're going to take and glue down the large black circles. Okay, so there's 4 of those. And just line those up with the bottom, as long as it's there, and then also make sure that this is has a nice even border going all the way around. There we go. Get the next one going here. And yeah, making some good progress here. It's not that difficult, just a lot of little details. But of course, without them, it just wouldn't be the same. So just hang out with me. And one thing we haven't done this year, speaking of fun summer stuff, well, today's actually the first day of summer, so, and of course, it's the hottest day that we've had in quite some time. We've been in quite the drought lately as well. Spending a lot of time just making sure that my plants don't die, my landscaping and such. We don't really, we're out in the country, so no one really uses sprinklers. Kind of just let the grass go dormant. It's just a waste of water. But as far as the plants go, okay, so now I'm going to take in my case, I'm using silver foil here, and that's going to go in the center of the black. So just make sure that you get that as centered as possible. And for whatever reason, the human brain's pretty good at figuring out when something is centered. I mean, it's common sense. You want to make sure that you have an even border around that. So it's not rocket science. But if rocket science was that easy, I think we'd all be making a lot of money. Okay, so get that one in place. And then the reason I'm flipping it over to press it down is because even fingerprints seem to blemish the foil, and I try to avoid that whenever possible. Okay, so moving on to the other side here. Get that going. And just again, just center it as best as you can. That looks good. Flip it over, give it a real good press. Hopefully that didn't move. Nope. We're in good shape. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because Peyton's, he's only 7 months now. Can't really put him on any carnival rides. We tend to go to a lot of carnivals, and actually, in retrospect, man, those things are, there's a comedian that kind of poked fun at those traveling carnivals, calling them traveling death traps, because boy, that stuff just doesn't seem very safe. But you know, I still just go on that stuff, and I don't know why. Maybe it's time to reconsider. Okay, so now this part here is going to go on top of, in my case, the silver foil. So if you too are using silver foil, be very careful and just make sure that you get the placement on there accurately the first time, so you don't have to move it around too much, because there are holes in this, and if you're off a little bit, it may reveal some of that smeared glue on there, and that will make it look not so great. So just be careful. Of course, we always like to challenge ourselves by using materials like this that are unforgiving, but that helps keep me sharp. I got to make sure that we maintain our surgeon-like capabilities with our hands. Okay, so again, try to get that nice and centered. I had to nudge that a little bit, not a big deal. Okay, and then finally, once we have this in place, I'm going to take those tiny little blue circles and put those in the center of these black pieces that we're putting in right now. And this part will be complete. There we go. All right, so just a little dot of glue on these little fellas here. Pop those right in the center. So again, we're centering and then centering and then centering and then centering again. Hopefully, we did a good job getting everything centered. There we go. That looks good. And then you can, I don't remember what we did this with. I think, what kind of vehicle did we make? Oh yeah, the hippie bus, I think. Put some little pearls on the centers of those. That could look cool. Little hubcaps. Okay. All right, so that's all done. I think that's it for this one. Yeah, so we can stack these on top of each other, and let's put that in the done pile. And moving on here, we've got a few other things here. So these are the doors for the back. You'll notice that there's a series of little score marks there. And for those little score marks, we have, well, there's these little tiny guys. And there's various sizes of these that go in various places. We just want to make sure that we grab two of the same size, and obviously want to make sure that they are the correct size. Okay, so I think it's these two. And let's take a look. That's why we have the markers on there, and that is way too big. So let's try, actually it's going to be a smaller one. Let me see if these are the same size. Yeah, we have four that are very similar in size. Let me see where that, yeah, so the four that are very similar in size, you can see them right here. Those all go on doors. So that one's going to go there, and this one's going to go here. And then we have we have two more doors on the sides. Okay, and these are going to go on there. Now this is going to be small enough to where I think I can grab my pick-me-up tool and use that to help me. Okay, so let's go ahead and just put a little bit of glue on there. I had way more come out of the bottle than I needed. So just let that suck it right back in and line it up with the little marker there and just pop that into place. What a cool contrast of color, that green and yellow. Whoops. Okay. And we'll get the other one in place. I'll just hit that with my finger and pop that into place. Where did it go? There it is. Okay, doing some surgery here. I think I've had 3 cups of coffee today and I'm not even shaken, so I don't know if that's a good thing or if that just means I'm drinking too much coffee. Probably a little bit of both. Okay, all right, so now one other thing too that we can do at this point, this little section here, okay, this is where these doors are actually going to go, like so. Okay, and we're using some acetate for the doors and the windows. Okay, I'm going to put these next to each other so you can kind of see them. There's other there's other parts as far as the acetate goes, but they're all larger and different sizes. You can see this is the front window, so is that, and these are those are different windows there. Okay, so for this one here, these taller ones are actually going to go on this door here. Okay, so don't worry about that. Get rid of these taller ones. I want the ones that are pretty much square, okay? And we're going to glue those down first, like so, right here. Okay, and it may actually be helpful to glue them onto this piece so that you don't accidentally glue it in the wrong spot. And then when we get it on this section, it ends up showing through. We don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. This is the back of the door. Okay, and we'll glue our, this is actually Mylar, which is kind of like a form of acetate. Okay, so it kind of gives it a cool, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for. I guess it's just not so see-through. It's transparent. Okay, let's get this other one in place here. And we may just want to let this kind of sit for a few minutes before we take it and glue it on. So I'm going to put that off to the side for a second. Okay, in the meantime, let's work on some other stuff here. Let's work on our ice cream sign. So we need to find this piece, need to find that piece. Okay, and then let's find this piece. And then of course there's this piece here. Move some of this stuff out of the way. And then we have, there's a tiny little brown piece, almost looks like a little stick. Okay, and then we also have this piece. And I think is that it? Oh, there's one more. There it is. Okay, so here's what we'll do first. We're gonna assemble the word ice cream first. Okay, so this white layer is your back layer, but we need to take this piece here and make sure that we have the orientation correct. You can see how there's a few little holes cut out. This first one on the left is the little cutout for the E in ice cream. That's the second E, and then that's the A for in the word cream. Okay, so let's take this layer and glue it onto this layer here. So very gently, go ahead and apply your glue to the actual caption cutout. Go very easy on the glue here and try to get a little dot on those little hanging areas. Okay, and let's line that up as accurately as we can. We just want to line up the rectangle to the rectangle, and the caption will just kind of fall into place. Here we go. Press that down. Beautiful. And then we'll take this whole piece, apply some glue to the back of it, and we're going to glue that down onto the solid white piece. Okay, and that will show, it'll make the little cutouts for the E's and the A visible. Okay, so that's just an easy way, without having to deal with a tiny little caption, to create a caption. All right, next, we're going to take, and this is going to go on next onto this piece that has the little ice cream treat built into it. So go ahead and apply your glue to that. And it's going to go right on top of, in my case, I'm using, this is a white glitter. And you know, I realized here I did not, I usually do. I'm going to hit this glitter with a little bit of blue, just on the right-hand side. Just right there. Hopefully we don't have any blackouts today. I think everyone's air conditioning is running. I just saw the lights flicker. Okay, next we're going to take this piece here, and this is just the colored part of the ice cream. Throw a tiny bit of glue on there. Nice and easy. And match that up on the left-hand side. The bottom left-hand corner of this part should be flush with, in my case, this melon color. Okay, just like that. And that little brown piece I was talking about here, this little guy, it's not completely straight. It seems like it has a little cut on the bottom. Just make sure that that little cutaway section is at the bottom. Okay, so I had put a little too much glue on there. So I just took and used my finger to spread it out. Pop that right on top where the shadow element is to match that up like so. There we go. Oh, and there is a little cherry that goes on there, and you can see the shadow part of it right there. Okay, so let's just go ahead and throw a little glue on there, hit that with my finger, and let's pop that into place. If you don't have one of these tools, I definitely recommend it. It helps with little pieces like this, okay? So there's that. And then finally, we're gonna take the ice cream caption and glue that down right onto this. You could, if you wanted to, you could technically pop dot it, but this thing's already 3 layers. I think it has enough dimension. Get that nice and centered on there, and voila. And that piece is done and ready to go. Let's put that in the pile. Okay, next we're gonna work on some of the doors. Okay, there's 2 doors, one on each side. One says ice cream, the other one says cones and shakes. And let's get these all lined up so you can see how it all works. These doors are the same size, okay? They just have different captions on them. So we're gonna need this and then this, and you gotta figure out which white piece goes with what. Okay, so this one here that has the 2 little cutouts at the bottom, that's for the word cream, so that one's gonna go there. And then we're gonna take this layer and put it behind it like this. Okay, and in between there somewhere, we're going to add our Mylar as well. So this one has 2 cutouts, one for an O, one for an A. It's gonna go like this, and then we'll take this layer, pop it back there. Okay, let's find the Mylar that we put off to the side earlier. Okay, that one's gonna go there, that one's gonna go there. And then for these guys here, we're actually going to use those little popsicles that we created. There's a total of 6 of them, so you can kind of get those ready to go. Yeah, so you're gonna find the 2 smallest little yellow pieces remaining. One is a little bit thicker, one's a little bit thinner, and that's okay. All right, so let's get this in place first. All right, and what we'll do is we're gonna glue this layer to this layer, and then what I'm gonna do is actually put the Mylar on the back of the white layer, okay, and then we'll glue that together. So let's move this out of the way so we don't cause any confusion here. And apply our glue to the first layer. This is the door that says ice cream. Okay, so let's get that going first. And then try to get a little bit of glue onto the little areas that have those little sections of the letters that seem to be a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Delicate. Okay, so let's line that up as accurately as you can. There we go. Perfect. Press that down. All right. And now we'll take this and flip it over, and we're going to glue the Mylar piece on there. So I'm using just a series of little dots here. Okay, all the way around. Try to keep it somewhat close to the inside perimeter. And if you hit it with a little too much glue, you can always dab that with your finger, thin it out, so that when you put this in place, it doesn't go spreading out and then become visible inside of the visible area here. Okay, that looks good. So you see what that looks like. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue that to the back just to thicken it up a little bit. So go ahead and apply your glue to the perimeter. And that also closes up the lettering as well. Okay, so here is the first door, and it looks like I didn't do a very good job of gluing part of it down. So of course, here comes my handy little package or container of scrap pieces. And I'm gonna throw a little bit of glue on a scrap piece of paper so I can take it and just pop it right in there and paint some glue on that area that needs a little extra love. And just press and hold that down just to make sure that everything looks nice and clean. Okay. And then I have so many of these that typically, just so that I don't end up getting that glue onto something else, I'll just throw those out and just grab another one. Okay, so let's put the, where did my pick-me-up tool go? There it is. And let's put the little handle in place. Just throw a little dot of glue on there. Of course, the glue is stronger than my grip on it. That's okay. Pull some of that glue off. And just pop that right in between those little markers. There we go. There's a little handle. And then you can take and you can pop dot these, or you can glue them straight down. I'm actually, I think that they're so small, I don't really want to glue them down. I'm sorry, I don't want to pop dot them. I'm going to glue these down. So I'm just going to throw a few little dots of glue on there. And you can see there's 3 little markers, and that's to help you with the positioning of it. You want to match that up with the bottom of the little popsicle. Of course, make sure that it's straight up and down. Okay, so I'm going to go yellow, purple, then green. And these things are already pretty dimensional because they're 3 layers. I don't know that we need to add more dimension to them. Okay, take a look at that. Just kind of give it a visual appraisal. Make sure that it looks nice and straight. There we go. Look at that. So cute. All right. All right, so now on this side here, we're going to put this little guy. Actually, this big guy. So there's a couple of these that are smaller, and then this one's the large one that has the little spoon or the straw in it. Okay, and that is going to go on this window here. And with that, I think that one, since I'm gluing it to the Mylar, I'm going to go ahead and use a foam square on that one and give that one some dimension. You're probably like, Leo, how do you decide what you're going to do? Well, you know, sometimes I don't even know. And there we go. Okay, so that door is ready to go. And we can either glue this down flat or use some foam squares to apply it to the final structure once it's done. But we'll put that off to the side since that one's done, and we'll work on this one. And the process for this one's going to be exactly the same, except that obviously the caption's different, so no big deal. But anyway, yeah, so I think I was saying how Peyton's only 7 months. He'll be 8 months, July 14th, roughly. And I don't know if you can really take babies on carnival rides because we tend to go to a bunch of them. Haven't even been to a theme park this year. It's a little harder with a newborn to do all the crazy stuff that we were doing, but it's okay. It's just, you know, we're having different kinds of fun. And maybe it's probably a good thing. Who knows? Maybe we escaped a bad situation by avoiding carnival rides and roller coasters. You know, there's okay. So we got that one in place, and let's go ahead and get the Mylar part glued to this one. And again, I'm just doing a series of little dots around the perimeter here. If you get one that's too thick, just hit it with your finger, thin it out. I think I got just the right amount. There we go. And I'll take this and try to avoid that mistake I made by not having enough glue around the top perimeter. There we go. And I don't know if I told this story before. I feel like I have, but we're really close to the Wisconsin Dells, and there's some roller coasters up there that are treacherous. So try to avoid those. But yeah, I can't wait to take him on. I think Gavin and Gabby, the first ride, like real big boy, big girl ride that they ever went on, is that little ship that goes back and forth. And for a split second, you get to feel a little bit of weightlessness. But you know what? I actually been mimicking that at home. At Six Flags Great America, they have this ride called the Giant Drop, and it's essentially a tower. You sit in a seat, and they bring you to the top, and then you sit there, and your feet are dangling for a few moments, and then, without warning, they drop you, and you kind of plummet, you free fall until you reach the bottom. So Peyton's already kind of experienced that with me just being goofy at home. So I don't know if, I mean, obviously it'll be a different experience, but I'm just hoping, and it probably won't be, but I'm hoping that he's not as nervous about everything like I am. I'm kind of, I'm mostly an anxious person. I know I don't show that, but okay. So we're doing the same thing here. I'm going yellow, then purple, and then I'll go green. And just putting a little bit of glue on there, not a lot. And once I get it in place, just kind of looking to make sure everything's nice and straight up and down. So there's quite a bit of little detail that goes into this, even before we start assembling the final product, and that's okay. All right, so there's that one. And then on this side, which one does that have? That one has that one. So this side here is going to have this one, this little shake, okay? And that, again, I'm going to use a foam square for, mostly because I'm afraid to take this and glue it onto the Mylar and have it off center and then be like, oh man, I wish I would have got it centered better. But with this, you can pop it off if you want, okay? So that door's done. And what are we doing next? Let's put some other stuff together here. Okay. All right, so this guy, our little ice cream truck, has a loudspeaker, because obviously you need music to come out of somewhere, right? Okay, so we have these two black pieces. They're gonna go back to back. There is a tab on here, so you do not want to glue the tab right now. We're going to use that tab to anchor this to the actual truck. So fold at the tab and then apply glue to everything but the tab. And this is just for the black part first. Okay, so take this and go back to back like so. Okay. So I guess today's the longest day of the year, because it's the summer solstice. So every day after today, less and less light. So I'm already thinking about what Peyton's going to be for Halloween this year. Obviously, he's going to be Charlie Brown, because he already looks like him. Yeah, and he's already watched The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and he kind of makes a little raptor sound when he comes on, and especially when he sees Charlie. I don't know if it's because he thinks it's him in a cartoon form. I don't know. All right, next we're going to put this white piece on top of the black. Okay, get that matched up as accurately as you can. Press that down into place. And then, of course, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we'll flip that over, grab the white piece, and glue that in place. Whoops. And get that lined up. There we go. And then we have, in my case, I've got, I think it's AC Pool maybe? I've got two blue pieces. these two, and then these two. Of course, this one here is going to go on the back. It's just going to go right there on the back, so we'll go ahead and put a little dot of glue on there, thin that out, and just line that up. You want to make sure that it's flush with the backmost part of the little speaker, like that. We'll flip it over, do the same thing with the other side. You don't need a lot of glue on that. A really tiny little piece. And just match that up. There we go. Okay, and then we have a piece that's going to go towards the front, and you'll notice that it's not like a perfect shape as far as it's a little bit, it's not as wide on one side, and then it's round and wide on the other side. Okay, and you want the longer side facing to the right. So it's like that. Hopefully that made sense. So it's not a perfect rectangle. It's a little bit longer on one side, and that longer side you want towards the end of the speaker. So on the right-hand side of the speaker. Get that lined up as accurately as you can. It's a tiny little piece, but that's okay. There we go. That looks great. We'll flip her over and repeat the process on the other side. Okay, nice and easy. There we go. And there is our little speaker. All right, what was that? We got a new Instagram subscriber. There we go. Okay. All right, so we'll put that off to the side. That's done. All right. Next, let's put together the grill. So we have these two pieces, and then in my case, I have this out of this is silver foil. And it's a pretty delicate little piece, so just a few little dots of glue all the way around the perimeter. If you can manage to get a little bit on that thinner section there, do so, but I would recommend hitting that with your finger to thin it out. Okay, line that up. And this is a symmetrical piece, so it doesn't matter which way is up or down. All right, we'll flip it over, press down from the other side so we don't blemish the foil, sorry. Thinking and I'm working. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the other side, or the second one. And you know, honestly, I think you probably don't have to put any glue on that middle section there. I don't know if it's really gonna make a difference. Okay, line that up. Little pieces like this, I like to kind of hold them in my hand because you can use your fingers to kind of make sure it's centered. All right, we'll flip her over, give that a press, help it get a good hold, and put that off to the side. Okay. Okay, so here, this piece here is essentially going to be a dimensional rectangle. Okay, so make sure you fold everything. You'll notice that we have a tab on one side. So you're going to tuck it in like this to form, almost looks like a 2x4. Okay, so let's put some glue onto this tab. It's a nice thin amount of glue. Let's spread that out to the very edge. Okay, and then what you can actually do here is put that down flat and then take the other side or the other end and literally just pop it on there flat. Okay, so it's a flat 2x4 right now, but in a few seconds, we'll take it and pop it out, and now it's dimensional. Okay, and on each side we have 3 tabs and a little lid. We're going to apply glue to the 3 tabs, throw it on there, and then use your finger to really get that glue around the entire perimeter, and then take that little lid, bring it over and press and hold it down until it fully sets. This is kind of like the little ledge on the side of the ice cream truck where all the goodies are going to rest. Okay, we'll go to the other side here, push those 3 tabs in just like we did, Put a few little dots of glue on there, take your finger, spread it out all the way around to the very edge on all 3 tabs. Take the lid, bring it down, make sure it's nice and centered, and hold that in place. And there is our little ledge. And I did take this and I inked it on one side here, and that's probably the side that will be visible. So we'll put glue on that side once that's ready to go. Okay, so our little ice cream truck has some lights at the top, and they're colored lights. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue the small blue to the large pink just to get those ready to go. I want to get those centered so that just a tiny little bit of that pink is showing, like that. Okay, so that one's done. And we'll just keep on going here and get the other 3 in place. If you are using your pick-me-up tool, this one I'm actually able to do with my finger, and it's working out okay. If you need the other little attachment to get that to stay in place, that's fine. It is a pretty small little piece. There we go. Get that out of the way. And the last one. Now there's going to be a few little pieces that we're actually not going to do anything with because we need the structure to be complete before we mess with it. Okay, but for now, those are ready to go. We have 4 more orange ones like this. Those we're going to leave alone for now. These little pieces here, they do have folds along with the red pieces. We're going to leave those alone until later. Okay. Now what we can do is go back to this, and we can get these little doors glued into place now. And you can see where they go. Obviously you want them to be flush with the bottom and the left, and that will essentially get the placement for you automatically. So you don't have to worry about figuring out, well, do I have it centered? Is it in the right spot? Don't worry about that. Just make sure that it is in place here on the left, and make sure that the little handle is on the inside and not on the outside. Don't get the doors flip-flopped. Okay, so I have it flush here, and I have it flush on the bottom, and that is perfect. Now I can take and press that down into place. There we go. Make sure that's holding nicely, and it is. Then we'll take our other door and get that glued down, and you can see that there's just the slightest little bit of that pattern showing in the middle. Okay, so let's get that glued down. All right. Okay, again, make sure on this one here that it's nice and flush on the right and bottom. And you can see how we have that little gap there in the center. There we go, perfect. Okay, so that part is ready to go too. Okay, in the meantime here, a few more little things that we can assemble. I'm going to show this to you on the prototype, but so that the wheels don't eventually get destroyed, we created these 2 little dimensional rectangles. They're going to get glued to basically act like the axles. Okay, and that's going to help make this thing last a lot longer. Very much like what we did with that little shelf. We're going to take and apply glue to the tab. Okay, let's make sure we pull that glue out to the very edge. Okay, and you can literally put this down flat and then take the other end and push that over right onto the glued tab, or the tab with glue on it. Okay, so we have it dimensional now. And just like we did with that little ledge, we'll pull those 3 tabs in and just put a couple dots of glue on there. Then use your finger with the little dabbing motion to spread that glue out. Take your little lid and close it up. Doesn't need to be perfect, but obviously you want to do your best. Okay, and if you want, you can also take a dowel pop it in there to help that tab really get a good grip. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Push those tabs down. A few little dots. Spread that glue out. Lid down. And just hold that in place. There we go. Okay, so one of these is done. I'm not really worried about inking this or anything like that. It's kind of pointless since it's mostly hidden. And we'll do that one more time. Just apply your glue onto the tab. Spread it out. Here we go. And again, you can take it, fold it down flat, and then take the other end. Make sure the tabs are out of the way. Just pop it right on there. It's a symmetrical piece, so you can do things like that occasionally. All right, and just flip it out, make it dimensional, push those tabs down. Let's apply our glue and dab. There we go. And there we go. Okay. Let's go to the other side. Again, this is just from experience. We've created some items in the past that have had wheels, and although they perform pretty well, depending on your area, maybe you have a lot of humidity, and then you have a lot of dryness, and then back to humidity. If it's under pressure, the paper does have a tendency to warp, so we're trying to avoid the wheels warping. Okay, so there we go. Got two of those done. All right. Okay, we do have this little awning that's going to go over the main part of the truck where the ice cream is served. Okay. Okay, so make sure you get everything folded here. What we're going to do is start off by putting glue on this small triangular tab. And let's make sure we don't accidentally get glue all over the place. We'll tuck this in, and you want to glue that triangular tab to the inside of this flat section here. Just make sure that it's nice and aligned. Okay, we need to clean off my fingers here. They're starting to get a little sticky. Not too bad though. Okay, go over to the other side. Let's apply glue to the little triangular tab and tuck that in. Line that up nice and straight, and press and hold. There we go. And then we're going to take these two tabs and glue them behind this back piece, okay, like that. And that's what we're going to use to glue this to the actual ice cream truck. So I'm just going to do both of these at the same time as far as applying the glue. Spread that out, and then bring that over, line it up, and press and hold. Shouldn't take more than a few seconds, as long as you are careful with the glue. Don't overdo it with the glue, ever. Okay, there we go. And there is the little awning. Okay, and then we have, just to change up the colors on this, so it's not all purple, we have these little overlays. Okay, we're going to start with the original color, and then we're going to use the next color. So we're going to go blue, so pink, blue, so on and so forth. And what I would do is I would apply glue to the larger part of this because it does have a little fold there. So let's glue this to the front first, line that up. It should match up with the little fold on the base. Okay, we'll just leave that alone. You can see that's not glued down. And then we'll glue that down afterwards. So skip one, then go to the next. So I've got pink, blue, and then pink, and then blue. Line that up as accurately as you can. Just like that. And let's get this one going here. And we'll finish it off by gluing the other half of it down onto the top of this little awning. There we go. sure it's nice and centered. Beautiful. Okay. Then you can fold this back, throw a little bit of glue on there. Just make sure you get it out to the very edge. Then fold it over, press down, voila. The next one, voila. And the last one. And there we go. Okay. Okay, so next what we're going to do is, because the structure is sort of self-contained, and these are essentially panels, you can actually glue these down, well, portions of it anyway. So we'll grab both sides of the bus here. This one's going to go on like this, okay, and this one's going to go like this. So let's go ahead and get that glued into place. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and apply glue to this entire piece. And we're also, once we get these two pieces installed or connected together, the Mylar is going to go on the backmost part of this. Okay, so let's just get that in place. And then you can also glue down any of the flat elements that go along with the two sides. All right, so do your best to get that lined up as accurately as you can, especially around the windows and the back. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let me get that front nice and lined up. That is not lined up very well. There we go. Okay, that looks good. I'll press that down. Okay, and we'll go over to the other one. Let's get that glued down. And I'm going to take a look at this. Okay, let's get the other section glued into place. As far as the dimensional elements on this, we'll put those on later. Obviously, when the entire truck is put together, we don't want to put the little awning in place and all that good stuff without it being assembled. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to get this onto the final structure. Okay, there we go. So we've got that on there. Cool little patterns too. We've got a cone on the bottom and then a vanilla with some sprinkles on top. I just think that's super cool. Okay, and there are a couple little things that we can put on here right now, and it just involves these little sprinkle pieces. Okay, and we can put this one here on the back, get that out of the way. A lot of little piecing here. That one can go down. Okay, and so can the other one on the back here. And then there's also a little circular guy that we can get rid of as well. The less little stuff we have at the end, the better. There we go. Just like that. And then on the front here, we have 4 orange ones. Okay, you can see the 4 there. You want the 2 smaller ones. One's going to go here. Get that on there. And then the other orange ones are going to go on the front, on the main headlights. Okay, just match that up with a little marker there. There's a tiny little marker right there. Okay. And there we go. There we go. Okay. All right, so that's ready to go. And now, as I mentioned on the back of this, now we'll flip this over. We're going to grab these odd-shaped little pieces of Mylar, and we're going to get those glued right there and right there. Okay, so go ahead and, just like we did with the previous little doors, just do little dots. Okay, and then just pop that right into place. As long as it's on there and not hanging off the side. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly centered. Okay, move that off to the side. few little dots around the perimeter. Here we go. Okay, we'll let that set. And I think that's pretty much as much as we can do right now on the sides. We could technically, like I said, if you want, if you are going to glue this down flat instead of using foam squares, you can do, actually no, I'm sorry. There is something else we can do. These parts here can go on now. And just make sure you grab the correct one. As you can see here, if we line up the wheels here, it doesn't work, okay? But this one does. So these can actually get glued down now. Almost forgot about that. You don't want to put the door down before you put this part down. Okay, so I'm glad I caught that. Okay, let's put glue on this entire piece here. Middle. There we go. And just line it up with the existing little shadow element there. And technically, now that I think about it, without making this dimensional, you can actually use this as an element to like make a card, which many of you have actually done more than once. I've seen many people do that. Okay, so there we go, and that's really cute. And we'll grab the other one, and that's gonna go right there. Let's apply our glue. So the shape on this one, obviously with cars like this, it's kind of new territory for us a little bit, but again, we're trying to do some different stuff and not be, not be so confined to things that we're comfortable with. Because how else are you going to be innovative? All right, that looks great. Okay. So I want you to grab these two solid, and this is pink pieces, okay, and just arrange them like this, like I have them. If you're using AC cardstock, you want your texture facing you, okay? So this one that is driving to the right, we're gonna take this piece and we're gonna glue it to the back, okay? So just the little seat is visible, okay? The Mylar is already in place on the panel, so we'll flip it over just to make it easier, okay? And what I'm gonna do, just so that I don't get glue in a spot where I don't need it, I'm just gonna apply glue around the perimeter here on the window. And then just line that up. It's a little different than what you're used to. It's kind of like putting vellum in place, sort of. Okay, line that up so just that little door is visible. Or I'm sorry, the little seat. It's basically just the seat of the bus. The ice cream truck. Okay, so that one's done. This is actually a skeleton piece. We're gonna need that in a little bit. Put that off to the side for a second. Now this one here, texture side facing you. This one's driving to the left. It's gonna take this piece here, and what we're gonna do first is glue this gray piece on top of the black, and that is mostly just for the steering wheel. Did I call it a steering wheel? The steering wheel. Maybe we should make a steering wheel. What is that exactly? All right, so glue that right on top, like so. Match that up as accurately as you can. Give that a good press. And then just like we did before, we're going to glue that so that the steering wheel in gray and the seat in black is visible through the window. Okay, so again, just a little bit of glue around the perimeter of the opening for the window. Nice and easy. Okay, and then if it helps to look through this side here to get that lined up, that's fine. And once it's lined up, go ahead and press it into place. And there we go. Okay, again, this is a little skeleton piece. Use that to assemble the actual structure. Put that off to the side for a second. Let's grab this piece here, and then this little piece here And this is the other part of the steering wheel that you see from the front. And we're going to glue that in place. Okay, and just match that up. You can see part of the steering wheel's still there. Just line that up like so. Make sure it's nice and straight, nice and level, I should say. Mine's mostly level. I think that'll work. Okay, great. And then what we can do with this piece, okay, this piece here, you'll see that where the window is, there's a section that has a smaller fold, and then there's a section with a larger fold. This is going to go right back here, like so. And you want to line that up so that the seats and the steering wheel are visible, okay? So what we can do is just apply glue to this section here, just around the perimeter of the window opening. Now there's another piece of Mylar. We're actually going to put that on later on, so don't worry about it now. It's the only piece of Mylar you have left. Okay, thin that out if you have any splotchy areas. Okay, and then of course make sure that your little steering wheel is facing out. And I'm going to flip this over like so that I line it up correctly. It's kind of like I'm doing it in reverse a little bit. You could do it from the other angle if you want. I think for me, visually, this makes more sense. And then press that down. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. All right, so that part's ready. And again, this is part of the skeleton as well. Okay. And what does that leave us with? Oh, one thing I forgot to do here was to glue the Mylar onto the main window. Okay, so let's do that. Just a series of little dots around the perimeter. And then take this larger piece and pop that into place. Give that a nice gentle little press right onto those little dots of glue. Make sure you don't have any coming in. And that looks great. Okay, so that piece is ready to go. All right, so this is where the fun begins. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the front of the truck and begin gluing it to, this is the skeleton piece, and we're gonna begin at this point here. Okay, so you've got the window, and then it goes into the front end of the vehicle, and you can see here that this tab and this point here is this in relation to the little skeleton piece, okay? And then we're gonna have a little bit of a curve at the top, and then we're gonna have a big curve around the bottom. Now, the main thing you wanna get right here, we're gonna start off by applying glue to this tab here. Okay, I'm gonna explain this before I actually do it so you understand what's going on here. And this little point here, this edge here, I kind of bring that down until it basically stops. You can kind of feel it. It'll go down, and then as soon as you feel some resistance, okay, that's the point at which you want to stop and not only glue that one down, but glue this tab right to the front there, okay? So those two are going to match up right there, just like that. I'm going to start with this long tab to help anchor everything. Okay, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to spread the glue out on this. It's really just, like I said, a skeleton piece to help with building the actual structure. I'm just kind of gripping it like this. And again, just kind of bring it down until it basically stops. Move that out of the way. You can check your point. Make sure it's flush and as far as it'll go. You can even fold it over onto itself there to press that into place. Just make sure it's nice and firm up against that. Okay, just like that. And that looks perfect. So now what's going to happen here, we'll give that a few seconds to set. This is going to get curved around like so. And this point here should end at this point here. And mine does perfectly. Okay, so here's what we'll do. And we've done this many times with shapes like this. Excuse me. We're going to take and apply glue to a handful of tabs here. We'll do like maybe the first three. I'll do 1, 2, 3. And then we can take this part, put it down flat, make sure those tabs are tucked under, and we can push down from the inside while we push this way up against the skeleton piece from the outside. And looking at it from the inside, we want it to look nice and flush. Okay, so let's take a look at what that results in on the other side. So these tabs are firmly up against the surface, and it's wrapping around this shape here. Okay, so we can probably just finish this one up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. Tuck those under. Okay, and just kind of hold it right here and wrap that in all the way. Just push that up against the skeleton piece and push down with your finger from the inside to help keep that in place. And just be patient. You don't want to overdo it on the glue here because you'll be waiting forever for it to dry, but that's what you want it to look like. You can see how nice that is. Now, to kind of help the process a little bit, if you want, you can kind of squeeze this a little bit just to help this corner, for the front end of the ice cream truck kind of, get into position, so to speak. Okay, but we're going to go over here now to the other side, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. So just like we did, remember, we want this point here to match up with the change in direction on this one. So we've got it going down, and then it starts to come out right at that point. This is exactly where we want to glue that. So if it helps, take these triangular tabs, move them out of the way so that you can get a better visual on where that tab ends and where that curve begins. Okay, so right about there. So let's go ahead and flip this back so we can apply our glue onto the back side of this tab. Like that. Flip it back over. Grab our skeleton piece. And again, this one, you can't really slide it down this time, but you can see it. You can see where it needs to go. And just hold that in place briefly, just until it gets its initial grip. And then you can take the whole thing, whoops, luckily it had its initial grip, like I said, and I'm just pushing down from the inside to really help it grab a hold. Okay, there we go, and that's in place. And now, just like we did, we're gonna glue these right around the front end, and that should terminate right at that little point at the bottom. And I nailed it. Got it right, hit it right on the head. Okay, so let's start off with just 3 tabs here. We get the glue on these 3 triangular tabs, nice and thin, nice and easy. Fold them in. And then I'm pushing from the outside while pressing down from the inside, just making sure that it's up against the skeleton piece and following that natural curve that we've created there. Okay, so you can see those 3 tabs are in place. Let's flare that back. And dot, dot, dot. I'm just going to do the rest of these here. There's only 5 more. Okay, fold those over. Make sure they're tucked under. Press down from the inside. You can kind of do it in like a sweeping motion. And just make sure that, especially that last one there, make sure it stays in place and you don't stop pushing down until it's really firmly glued down. Okay, so now we have this little top section here. We have just 3 tabs, and I don't think we really need to train this at all. Let's go ahead and actually do the first one. First little tab closest to that long tab there. Just apply a little bit of glue to that. And again, tuck it under, push down while you're pushing in up against the little skeleton piece on that first tab. Okay. And there you can see that tab glued to the front. Alternatively, if it's easier for you, you can try to do it from the outside visually. And what I mean by that is, instead of putting it down on your surface, you could just technically, let me move these first 2 out of the way, could just technically look at it from this side and then just push from underneath with 2 fingers and kind of pop it into place. I like to use my table as much as possible. I think it is a lot easier. Okay, but you could technically do it like this by just gluing it to the front like this. But again, I like to use my table as much as possible. I'm going to put glue on the last 2 tabs here, tuck them over, okay, and again, pushing down from the inside, and I can use my fingers here to kind of push that up against the skeleton piece so that it's nice and round. I want it to follow that round curvature that we've created there. Okay, there we go, and you can see those final 2 tabs right in place. And that just leaves these 2 here. So we'll apply glue to these 2 little tabs here. I'm going to thin those out with my fingers. Okay, tuck them under. And then I'm pushing down from the inside and using this hand to force that little section around that curve. Okay, just make sure that it's following that curve nicely. There we go. Hold that in place for a moment. And there you go. Okay, perfect. All right, so that's coming out really nice. Okay, next, what we can do here, we can take this piece and just to kind of stabilize this whole thing, you'll see this tab says TF, and that's top front. We can take this and glue this to this section here. So let's pull this tab out for a second. And that's going to get glued right to this section here, like so. I want to make sure that it's nice and centered. Okay, so again, with this tab here, we're going to apply our glue, and we're going to attach the next section to it. Again, this is just a skeleton piece, so we don't have to be super precise with the glue. Just want to make sure that it's holding it in place. And you can see here that there's a little F here. That's the front. Make sure that this little notch is up towards the front. Okay, and you can pull this towards you a little bit. Make sure you get it nice and centered. And right all the way up to the score marks there. Press that down. There we go. Give that a few seconds to set. Okay, and now I'm going to take this long tab and glue it to the side. Make sure it's nice and flush up against our little skeleton piece, the side skeleton. Let's go ahead and apply our glue here. Of course, now all of a sudden, the glue's coming out like crazy. It's okay. That's why we have fingers. And you can take it and tuck that tab in, like so. Put that down on your surface and press this way up against the skeleton piece as you run your finger along the inside to help push that tab down into place. There we go. You can see what that's supposed to look like, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing, repeat the same thing on the other side. I don't know why this glue's coming out like crazy all of a sudden. Let's go ahead and thin it out and tuck that tab under. Okay, and I'm pushing this way, pushing that top up against the skeleton piece and pressing down from the inside. You can kind of peek through the window up here and I can tell that I'm off. I'm gonna try that one more time. I didn't push down far enough up here. There's a little bit of a gap. So again, you want to make sure that it's nice and snug up against this little skeleton piece, okay? So I'll try that one more time. Fold that tab down, put it down on my surface, and starting over here towards the front, push it up against that skeleton piece, and then just kind of run your finger along the inside to push that down into place. And that's more like it. Okay, there we go. That looks much better. Okay, so next thing we're going to do here, we're going to get this next section in place. But before we do that, what we want to do here, these two sections here, the section with the 4 tabs and the section with the 2 tabs, we want to sort of give that a little bit of a curve. So I have this is about a 3/8 inch dowel. And what I'm doing is just taking it and curling it up against the dowel just to give it a slight curve. That's going to help us when we go to glue this onto the actual surface. I'll do the same thing with the bottom here. Just kind of wrapping it around the dowel and curling it up. And you can see how it gives it a little bit of a curve. Okay, these dowels are going to come in handy. If you don't have a dowel, you can try to do it manually, but I'm afraid you may actually crease the piece, which wouldn't be the end of the world, but okay, we just want to give it a little bit of a curve. And you can see how nice and curved that is now, where initially it was straight. Okay. All right, so what we want to do now, we're going to flip this over, and we have this tab, and we want to get this tab glued into place here. I'm going to pop that in as far as it'll go. I want to make sure that we keep it nice and centered too. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to put some glue right on this tab, like so. Okay, and you could do it this way too. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Whichever way is easier for you. Just leave the little triangular tabs outside, but that other tab is going to go inside, and just try to make sure that you have it as centered as possible and butted right up to the tab. That looks good. Let's take a look from the inside. Another thing you can do here, you'll notice that this tab has a little round notch cut into it. If the tip of that notch is centered with this slit, you also know that you've got it lined up properly. I'm going to check my work again here. Make sure that's butted up as far as it'll go, and that looks good. And now you can see that's just going to go and curve around like so. Okay, so I think we did a pretty good job there. And what we can do, just to make life easier for us here, is we can take and apply glue to this long piece, like so. We can take this tab and we're going to glue it to the outside. Okay, bring that down as far as it'll go. You don't want it like this. This part here, you want that to wrap around that little round portion there. Okay, and again, you can put this down on your surface and kind of pull on it a little bit to make sure it's going around that curved part, and then just press that down. There we go. Perfect. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. Perfect. And then for these two little tabs here, just a little dot of glue. Thin that out. You could technically just do this in the air, so to speak, like that. But again, I prefer to use my surface. Okay, so to this other side now, same concept applies. We're going to take and just kind of tug on it a little bit as far as it'll go, and that's where this long tab is going to get glued down onto this surface. Okay, so nice and easy with the glue, nice thin amount. Okay, fold it over. Whoops, there we go. And you can put that down on your surface, make sure it's tucked under. Give that a pull it down towards you a little bit so that this round part curves and hugs that top curve. Give that a push so it's up against the skeleton. Perfect. Okay, there you go. And then we have these two little tabs here. Little dot there, little dot there. Fold them in. Make sure they're tucked under and just push down. And that is turning out great. Okay. All right, so that just leaves these guys here. These 4 little pieces, 4 little tabs. So fold those back and just little dots of glue. Okay, fold them back over. We'll flip them and tuck them under. Okay, and push down from the inside. Make sure it's going around that curve. A little hard to see, but I'll show you from the other side once it's done what it should look like. Okay, there you go. Those 4 tabs coming around like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, you can see how we want those tabs to curve around the little skeleton piece. I have no doubt you guys will be able to do this. So many of you have made these types of projects in the past. Okay, tuck those tabs under. Again, making sure that those tabs are hugging that round section. I'm kind of using the back door here to get my finger in there to push down on those tabs. And there we go. Okay, let's take a look. And there they are. Okay, so now this thing is super solid. Okay, and now all that's left to do here is we're going to take this piece. This is our bottom. All right, we're going to take this. We're going to glue this to one of the tabs here. Probably the one up in front would be easier. So let's go ahead and apply glue to this tab here on the front of our little ice cream truck. Now take this piece and get that centered and right up against those score marks. You don't want to go over them. You want to be kind of almost on top of them. There we go. You can actually fold that back and press down. Use your table for some leverage. Okay, so you see what that looks like there. And then we're going to need to close this up by gluing this to this tab, and we're going to have to push from the inside to get that to adhere. Let's go ahead and throw some glue on there. You can pull that out to the edge, it's fine. Bring that down, make sure it's centered. Pull it up to the little score mark there as far as it'll go. And then you can just kind of put it down on the surface and push down from the inside onto that tab. Make sure it's nice and centered. Perfect. Okay. All right, so now pull this back. And let's take a look. Yep, that looks good. Throw a little bit of glue on there. Again, this is just our little skeleton piece. It doesn't need to be perfect. Fold that over, and then I'm going to tuck that under. You can get your hand in there, push this way up against the skeleton piece as you push down on the tab to get it to stay in place. I'm just kind of building the bones of this thing so that everything else goes smoothly. And there you go. Okay. And then last but not least, get some glue on this piece. You can spread it out a little bit if you want. Fold it over, tuck it under, push up against the skeleton, push down onto that tab from the inside. And there we go. Okay, and there you have it. So that's the hardest part, folks, I'd say. Okay, we do have this piece here. This is a little liner, okay? And that's just gonna go inside there. If you're off with the alignment a little bit, it's okay. Mine's like stuck in there now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and apply glue to the bottom of this. We'll have to kind of fold it a little bit to get it in. And then just try to center it as accurately as you can. Okay, so we'll take it and just kind of bend it a little bit. Pop it in. You should be able to see from the inside here where it's at. And then just push that down. And that covers up the tabs, also reinforces it, makes it look nice. Okay, so next we want to actually put the Mylar on the front window. Okay, so, and I just noticed something here. I need that to pop out a little bit more. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply our glue to just the area around the perimeter of the window, the inner perimeter, pardon me. It's kind of a tongue twister. Just dots or very, very thin lines will do. And just make sure it's nice and centered. And make it so you don't have to move it around too much. Make sure you get it right in the right spot the first time. Okay, and we'll give that a few moments to set before we do anything crazy. Might need to push from the inside to get that center part to hold. Okay, just be patient with that. All right, so now what we're gonna do here is this part is gonna go, you can see how this almost looks like a Polaroid. Okay, the thicker part is gonna go at the bottom like that. But that means that just like we did with one of the pieces here, one of the what is it called? The skeleton pieces, we're gonna take and just kind of wrap this around a dowel to train it so it's round. Okay, you see how I did that? Okay, we're gonna do the same thing with the top. Just literally take it. You could do it this way too if you want. You just kind of wrap it around the dowel just to make it round. Okay, so it doesn't need to be perfect. As long as it's slightly curved like that, that will help us with the gluing. It'll make it so much easier. Okay, I'm working on the back here because I don't want to mess with the Mylar right now. Okay, and as you can see here, before you do anything, you'll notice that this cutout is the same size as this cutout. So when we place this, what we could technically do is start by gluing it right around that existing cutout. Okay, just making sure that that's centered, and then we can kind of put that down. But I think that it's going to be a lot easier if we start at the top, make sure everything is nice and taut, and then just work our way down. We've done this before when we've worked on, well, what comes to mind is usually like some sort of fruit or something dimensional, like a pumpkin. We've done this before. Okay, so let's start right at the top, and I should have done a little line at the top. Spread that glue all the way out to the very edge, like so. And then line that right up to the very top. Okay, and then as we bring it down, it should match up with that existing cutout. And mine's a little off center. Gotta give it a little nudge. Okay, looks like it matched up nicely with that cutout. I'm gonna bring it down and line up the other side as well. And just start kind of pressing it down like you're making a pie. Like a pie crust, I should say. Okay, and once you have that all lined up, nice and flush, and go ahead and just press down right at the bottom and just hold that nice and tight. Should be pretty flush around the main structure, and that it looks like it's holding very well. Just keep pushing that down. This bottom part is really the only part that's going to be visible. The top part's going to be covered with that, with this little pattern here, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Now I noticed here at the top, right in this area here, I have a little gap, but that's okay. I'll take my scrap piece of paper, just throw a little bit of glue on there, and I can tuck it right in between those two layers and paint a little bit of glue right where it's loose. And then with my fingers, just press that together, help that bond nicely. There we go. Okay, I got the same problem there on the bottom, but that's okay, it's not really a problem. I'd say that for this section, it's just important to get things lined up. And even if everything's not sitting perfectly flush and glued together, we can always go in and fix any little area that needs a little bit of help. Okay, and there we go. That looks great. All right, so now we got to do the front. Okay, and again, the top of the front, you can see that I only inked from here to there on the bottom. It's because this part is going to be covered up with this eventually. Okay, we're not quite there yet, but we will be. Okay, and again, what we're going to want to do here, because this is curved at the top, And this is also curved. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take my dowel and just kind of wrap the paper around the dowel to make it nice and round. Okay, and let it go, and you can see what it did. And it was straight, and now it's curved. Okay, now for this part here, okay, so for this one here, what I would do, very gently, I would take and put the dowel right about here. And actually, I'm going to want to curve right there and just begin wrapping it very gently. Okay, just right at the bottom. We're going to want the curve to be like that. And then you can take and just kind of start training it. We just need it to be slightly curved just to get things moving for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start at the top. We get it glued down, take a look at the front, and make sure that it matches up with the existing cutout. Okay, and that looks perfect. We can actually do this in 2 stages. We'll glue the top part into place first. So make sure you get glue underneath the windows here, on the sides, and especially up at the top. And we want to, at the top here, I'm going to spread that glue all the way out to the very edge. Okay, so very gently there, because I want that top to be nice and seamless. Okay, got a little bit of glue on my brand new mat. Okay. All right, so again, line that up with essentially that horizontal line. Make sure it's centered and flush. And bring it down, make sure it matches up. Whoops. There we go. And you should see here, it should match up right at that score right there. Okay, just press that down. And continue to hold that in place. Make sure it's centered. Mine got a little off center there. Okay, just hold down the top first. Let's get that to stick completely. And then we'll work our way down. We may need to paint a little bit of glue in there to get it to really stay. It looks like I've got a few gaps there, but that's okay. Let's just get the top in place. If you need to, you can always paint a little bit of glue in any of the areas that maybe aren't sticking properly for you. So what I'm going to do here is I got this top part in place. I tried to do a little bit too much, I think. What I'm going to do is just take a little bit of glue and just paint it on this part here, right up to where it folds. We'll do that on the other side as well. Right there. Okay, and then throw a little bit in the center. There we go. And then let's press that right up there. Bring it all the way down on both sides. Make sure it's centered. And just press and hold that in place and try to get that middle piece in there too. You can always go in and adjust that middle after we get the 2 sides down, because we can paint a little bit of glue in there. Okay, but I'm mostly concerned about it being nice and flush along these 2 sides here, right up to that fold. So I'm going to focus on that right now. Okay, so again, just kind of focusing on this section here, and the rest of it will work itself out. Just make sure that's nice and flush there. And if this area in the center between the 2 windows is kind of sticking up, remember there's Mylar there, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get that to stick. So let's just do that part separately. I'll just throw a little bit of glue right onto that piece there. There we go. And you can kind of stick your hand in there to create a support for it. And then just press and hold that down while it sets. Okay, maybe we probably should have tried to do that from the beginning, but I was feeling ambitious. But obviously, it looks like with this, because of the round shape, we want to take our time and just do it section by section. Okay, and I don't trust this Mylar. I'm going to give this a few extra moments before I let it go. There we go. Okay. All right, cool. So as I mentioned, Another thing too here, the areas at the base of the windows look like maybe, again, those are going up against Mylar, which might be the reason it's not sticking as well. So I'll paint a little bit of glue in those little gaps. Okay, and then I can push those and hold those in place. Give those little areas a little extra TLC. There we go. That's looking good. Perfect. Nice and flush. Okay. All right. So now, kind of popping the hood open here, so to speak. And let's apply our glue to the rest of the front of this. Make sure you get a little bit of glue right out to the very edge of the end of it. And spread that glue out. And then we're going to wrap this around all the way down to the bottom. And it should terminate perfectly right down there. Okay, we're just going to hold that nice and tight up against the surface. Should be flush there, looks good. Okay, give that a moment. I would hold it especially down here at the very bottom. Okay, all right, so the front and back are on. Those are probably the more challenging parts of this. These sections here are going to go a little bit easier because we've already sort of created a platform for them to rest on. So we're going to do those next. Okay, let's go back to the back. And what we're going to do here, this tab is going to go up here past this other design. Okay, so it's going to go right up here like this. We're going to use this tab to connect these two sections. Okay, and that's just to help eliminate any potential gaps you may have. Because again, it's not the easiest working with these curved sections. So we're trying to get it to where it all looks good, and even if you make a tiny mistake, we've got a little wiggle room so that it doesn't really show through. Okay, and just like we did this piece here, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to take my dowel, and I'm going to just curve the paper around the dowel, just up to the score mark. You don't want to go below that. Okay, so it's round. You can see what I did there. Made it nice and round. Okay, don't worry about the tab just yet. The tab we're going to glue down in just a moment, which means that we can actually kind of get it out of the way temporarily. So let's go ahead and put our glue on this round part here that we just trained so that it's round. Bring it all the way down. Do not put any glue on the door. It's not going to do any good anyway. Bring that glue all the way down to the very edge of this piece. And just do one more line right up at the top. Spread that glue out. Okay. And you can actually hold it by the tab. Get that lined up with that other pattern. You want it right on top of the previous pattern. Make sure it's, let's start at the top here. And let's make sure that that holds first. Okay, take a look at it, make sure it's centered. And then you can take and press these down. Make sure they're flush against the side. There we go. Beautiful. And then this door, we're going to use some Velcro dots to actually hold this in place when it's, we'll put some Velcro dots at the bottom so that it could close. Okay. But for now, let's just make sure that this is all dry and sitting where it needs to be. There we go. Let me take a look here, open this up, press down from the inside, make sure everything's sitting perfect. And it is. Okay, looks good. Looks good, looks good. All right, kind of on the home stretch here, guys. After this, it gets pretty easy, okay? All right, so now we're gonna do the same thing here. I can move this tab out of the way because we need to line this up here like so. And again, it's gonna curve down like that, which means we need to take our dowel and we need to curve this little part here. Again, this is a 3/8 inch dowel. And I'm using it to train the paper. Let me put this tab back this way so you can see the curvature that I created by doing that. And that's going to hug this piece here right up to the very edge there. And again, the windows should match up perfectly as well. So let's do this. I'm going to use the painting method, okay, to get this in place like we did the first time. But for now, it's gross. Just going to get this top part in place. So go ahead and apply your glue, just the section above the windows. And then we'll do a nice thin line right at the top. Spread that glue out to the very edge. There we go. And take that, line that up, nice and centered. Should be right on top of that previous pattern, minus the tab. Okay, take a look at the windows. Those should be all nice and aligned as well. Don't worry about the tab. I'm actually going to bring it this way so you can see how I have it aligned with and without the tab in the way. Okay, just hold that down. That's going to be our anchor point. And then we're just going to paint glue on the rest of this. And technically, we can actually fold that back now and maybe just apply our glue this way so we don't have to paint it. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and now finish off the bottom. So don't worry about the little wiper blades. Just do the bottom. Spread that glue out to the very edge of the bottom. The window portions will paint, okay? But this, let me get this glued down. Just like that, and press down at the very end. Beautiful. Okay, and these parts here, we'll glue those down manually using our little painting method here. Okay, so that bottom part is all in place. Looks like it's hugging the structure nicely. Let's grab ourselves a piece of scrap paper, throw a little bit of glue on there, and just tuck it in between these two layers here, the little window layer. Okay, and there you go. Just push that up against the structure of the previous layer, which is the little waffle cone layer in my case. There we go. Flip her over and paint a little bit of glue in there. Push that up against the previous layer. Perfect. Let me grab a fresh piece of scrap. That way I know there's nothing on the back of it. Throw a little bit of glue on there. Tuck that right in there. That's for the section in between the two windows. There we go. Hold that in place. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. All right, don't worry about the tabs yet. Okay, so at this point, I was thinking we should probably get the wiper blades glued down. Now this is where, again, I would use a scrap piece of paper with a very, very thin amount of glue on it. Okay, and literally just hit it once. Just press it up against that glue, and then press it into place. And just hold it for a second. You don't want a ton of glue on there. I literally barely put any glue on there, and that's the best way to do it so it doesn't go squirting all over the place. Okay, and there we go. It's good. We'll do the same thing with the other one. Just a very thin amount of glue. Pop it behind the wiper. Just push it up against that glue just so that it has a little bit on there. And press and hold it into place. Don't let go. Give that a few seconds, and there we go. Okay, no mess. All right, next, I'm going to take the top part of this now, and we're going to glue this to the tab. And actually, I don't even think we need to do that. Let's just glue the tab to the top, just to get it in place. Again, it's mostly just to hide any imperfections. Just glue that right to the top. It's not like if we glue this to that, it's going to change anything right now. Okay, flip that over. Get some glue underneath. There we go. Glue that right to the top. Okay, looking good. Now this piece is going to go right on top to finish off the top. Make sure that the little slits align nicely. Okay. And that one looks good. Go ahead and flip this over. Let's get our glue on here. And you know, this is one of the more challenging projects on our site. So, you know, and we're not robots. So there's always going to be a little bit of an error of margin, or a margin of error. Okay, just make sure you don't obstruct the little slits, because we still have to put some more elements on there. Just run your finger along the perimeter here. Make sure it's nice and flush around the perimeter. You can actually flip this upside down now and push down from the inside to help the rest of that make contact. Okay. And then check the perimeter here, make sure everything is making good contact on all 4 sides. There we go. All right, so next, what we need to do is we need to anchor these little guys here. Okay, you'll notice that, well, they could possibly go on 2 different ways, but if you do it this way, it's not going to fit between these 2 little markers here. So you want the wider side, well, you want the shorter side down. Okay, so this is the wider side, this is the shorter side down. So what we need to do is apply glue to the shorter side on either side, doesn't matter. Okay, and I'm going to take and spread that glue out so it's nice and consistent all the way around. Okay, and we're going to pop it right between the little markers there. Okay, there we go. You can stick your hand through the inside and push down very gently. Don't overdo it. And help that get a good grip right on there. Make sure it's centered. Okay, there we go. And flip that over. Do the same thing with the other side. Throw a little bit of glue on there. Spread that glue out all the way. Nice and consistent. Okay, and pop it right between the 2 little markers. Make sure it's centered. You don't want it sticking off the side. There we go. You can use your fingers to kind of feel, make sure that that is the case. Okay, and then press down from the inside. Help that get. There we go. Well, that looks weird, doesn't it? This looks like it's like a skating ice cream truck. Okay. All right, so now that these are in place, you can take and glue these down now. Okay, we needed those on there beforehand because it kind of helps with, well, everything in general. Okay, there we go. And we just want to line that up as accurately as we can all the way around, just to fit the curve of the skeleton or the main structure. And obviously we can use the windows as sort of a guide as well. All right, so let's go ahead and apply glue. I'm going to focus it mostly around the perimeter here. Don't get any on the Mylar. You don't want to blemish your windows. Okay, all the way around the perimeter. And then you can do a little bit inside here. And again, using the window as kind of a guide for initial placement. Pop that into place. And then just start sort of working your finger around and around the perimeter just to make sure it's all matching up nicely. Once you have it lined up, you can then take it and put it down flat and press down from the inside to help the rest of that really get a good grip. Okay, thank goodness for this little door, huh? Yeah. Okay. There we go. And then just visually go around and just make sure everything else looks good. I don't want too many gaps anywhere. There we go. Okay, looks like everything's pretty flush all the way around. Okay. Very cool. All right. Now I'll just do the other side, just like we did. All right. Let's get that glue flowing onto this panel. I already got all of the little tiny pieces on this thing, so it really speeds things up, I think. And the fact that we have all these different layers on here kind of stiffens up this whole thing. I feel like it makes it easier to work with too. Okay, there we go. Using the window as my initial guide for placement. Might need to nudge it around slightly after the fact, and that's totally fine. There we go. Push that down onto those little supports that we have. And now it's just a matter of going around and pressing down at the seams to make sure everything is nice and seamless all the way around. Beautiful. Look at that. They're really starting to come together now. So cool. You know, like some of the ice cream trucks out there, they're cool, but this one is like, you can almost drive it. It's so well built, so to speak. I think it has a higher safety rating, is what I'm trying to say, compared to some of the other ice cream trucks out there. Okay, perfect. All right, looking sharp. All right, let's take a look and see how that's sitting good. Okay, and I noticed here that my tires are not completely glued to these little guys, so of course, no problem there. Just take a little bit of scrap, just paint a little bit of glue right where you need it, and press that down into place, and just hold it. That one looks okay. I think this one kind of might need a little extra love too. Let me throw a little extra glue on there. Can always go back and fix things. It's not a big deal. There we go. Okay, and just give that a few extra seconds. And there we go. Okay, so now it's just kind of a matter of figuring out which embellishments we want to put on and when. I'm going to start off by well, we have the second layer for the wipers. Okay, and those are going to go on right there. I think it's a good time to do that. Okay, very delicate little piece, so go easy with the glue. I'm just going to do a few little dots and then spread that out with my finger just to make sure that I don't get any on the Mylar. Okay, this is going to test your surgeon skills here. There we go. I'm still a pretty good surgeon. How about you? You doing all right? Ready for your residency at the local hospital? I think I might be. I'll put this on my resume. Go try out. Actually, I might probably have to go to medical school for that, huh? I would assume so. All right, we'll get the other one in place here. And pop that right there. And there we go. Okay. All right, let's get rid of a few little pieces here. These little lights that we created earlier, there should be a total of 4 of them. I only have 3 for some reason. One of them's lost in the sauce somewhere. Bound to happen. There it is. Okay. These are going to go right here in these little holes. You might need to kind of bend them a little bit because, again, it's going on that little curved surface there. So just a little bit of glue. You might need to give that a little bit of a fold and pop it right into a little cutout there. Okay, we got 4 of those. And I'm literally just taking it and kind of wrapping it around the tip of my finger to give it that slight little curve that it needs to hug this little area here. And just hold that in place for a moment. Let it set. Okay. We got 2 more to go. And just to give you an idea of, I haven't switched over to LED lights in the studio yet, which I probably should at some point. These lights are incandescents that pump out 750 watts each. There's 3 of them. When I first started this video, it was a nice cool 68 degrees in here, and about 2 hours later, it's almost 80. Okay, so it gives you an idea of how hot those lights are. All right, so that's in place. Let's see what else can we do here. Let's go ahead, and we have a couple little of these guys that almost look like the door handles, but these are actually little lights or little reflectors, and those are going to go right here. There's actually a little shadow element on the, in my case, the sprinkle layer, where that little guy is going to go right there. Okay, it's like this little reflector. And there's another one on the other side, obviously. I'll get that one in there. It's just this little nub that's sticking out on this patterned layer. Pop that right into place. Make sure you got it right on there. There we go. Okay. And we can also take these 2. Where the heck did that one go? Oh, you know what? Yeah, those aren't in place yet. These guys here, you'll notice there's a fold on these. Okay, so it's a little bit thicker on one side and thinner on the other. Okay, the thicker side is going to go, it's facing down. And you'll notice there's a little marker there. This is just a light that goes right on the corner there, like that. Okay, so the thicker part goes down, the thinner part goes up. And all we're going to do is just put a little bit of glue. Make sure you fold it. Put a little bit of glue on both sides. Okay, and then use that little marker to help you with the placement of this piece. Should go right up against that fold there. Just like that. Okay, and then there's also a little red piece that's going to go on top of it. I'm assuming those are the brake lights. And just make sure that you have that folded. All right, so just throw a little dot of glue on that. That's going to go at the bottom of the existing light. Just like that. There we go. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, the skinnier part goes at the top, thicker part at the bottom. So go just like that. I think that's what I said, wasn't it? Yeah, skinnier part at the top, thicker part at the bottom. Use the little marker there to help you with the placement. Pop it right on that corner. Press and hold that down, just like that. And then take the little brake light and get that in place as well. Take a look here. I think I got it upside down. There we go. Okay, and just match that up. All right, cool beans. All right, so now, again, as I mentioned, to keep this closed, I'm actually going to take my, got some Velcro dots here. I'm going to take one and just cut it in half. Okay, hopefully it doesn't go flying anywhere. Take that. Peel off the backing on one half of it. Okay. And pop it right at the bottom of the door on one side. Peel off the other backing of the other half. And grab the other half of this one. Peel the backing off. And then pop it on the other side of the door. Right here. The bottom half of it. right up to the edge. Peel the backing off, and then go ahead and close it so that it grips right there. And it should be holding onto it now. You can listen. There it goes. There it is. Okay, so there you got the Velcro there at the bottom. Now the door stays nice and closed. Okay, and let's see, what else? What are we going to do next here? We got some fenders to put in place. Yeah, and then, okay, let's do that. All right, so on the back just has this one here. And just like we've done a few times here, I want to take this and roll this around the dowel to give it a little bit of a curve. I want this to be curved because it's going onto a curved part. So it went from flat to that, okay? And that is literally going to go, we're going to line it up with the edge of the pattern, and that's just going to come up wherever it terminates. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply our glue. I'm going to put glue on this entire thing, and we definitely want to get a line out to the edge of each side, which means that you want to spread that out all the way to the edge. We want that to stay in place nicely for us with no seams, nice and clean. That's how we do things. Okay, so start where in my case, the little waffle cone starts. Press that into place, and then go ahead and wrap it around and just keep holding it on both edges until it dries. And that's going to give it a nice bumper so it coordinates with this one here. That looks great. Okay. And don't let go just yet. Make sure it's got a good hold. There we go. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing with the front. This one here, now you notice it has little pieces connected to it, and that's where the main headlights are going to go. But just like we did before, I want to take this and wrap it around the dowel to give it a little bit of a curve initially. Okay, just like that. So it went from flat to that. You can see how that's curved there. And then I can take and kind of train that a little bit. So I'm just placing this between my finger and the dowel, lifting it up about 90 degrees and running it through. Okay. And let's go ahead and apply our glue. Okay. And don't forget that little line at the end there. Spread that glue out to the edge so that it sits nicely. And this is upside down now. We're going to line the edge of this side up with the edge of the pattern paper that's on there. Press that up against the entire surface. And now, since it's already kind of curved for us, just press and hold that in place and let that set. And we got the other part of the bumper in place now. Okay, so now we've got some headlights that we need to install. And these are the headlights. What we're going to do, I'm going to wrap these around the dowel too to give them a little bit of a curve, just very gently. Okay, so we'll start with the yellow. And we'll do the same with the white, very gently. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, it doesn't matter how you hold it. I'm going to glue this yellow piece on first, just matching it up with the shadow element on the blue first. It'll just be easier this way. Okay. And just line that up. Make sure it's flush with the very top. I want that little blue part to essentially completely disappear. There we go. Just hold that down and go over to the other one. Okay. And pop that right into place. Make sure it's nice and flush. There we go. Okay, we'll put our headlights in place now. The little sprinkle looking one, the circle on the bottom, sprinkle on the top. And just apply your glue to that, nice and easy. Don't overdo it. And that is going to go like so. Just match that up with the existing yellow. Perfect. Same with the other side. Let me clean this nozzle off. Okay, there we go. Again, circle on the bottom, sprinkle on top. There we go. Nice and centered. Whoops, there we go. Okay, and now on the headlights here, we have this little orange piece. Two little orange circles left, and that's going to go right into a little cutout there where the yellow is. Give that a two-toned look. You might need to kind of fold it a little bit, just give it a little slight bend so it hugs that angle. It's kind of curved there. There we go. Make sure it fits in there like a little puzzle. There it is. Okay. Now we've got our little grills. Okay, you'll notice that there's a series of little score marks too to help you with the positioning of these. Okay, so we'll just throw a little bit of glue on the back of these. And again, this is going on a curved surface. I'm using silver foil here. Oh, by the way, make sure the little T is at the bottom. Okay, get that nice and centered. I'm going to push that up against the surface. Make sure it's not cockeyed. There we go. Press that into place. Looks good. Same thing with the other one. I lost my train of thought here. Oh, yeah, it's going on a curved surface, but it's such a small piece that I think as you push on it, it'll kind of just grab onto it. And yeah, that's fine. I don't think it's too small of a piece to train. I think that is fine. There we go. There's the little grill. Make sure that looks nice and seamless. And it does, so that's good. Okay, what's left here? Actually, not much, really. Okay, this side here, let's see, that's a nice cream. So this side here is going to say cones and shakes. Now remember, we said we could either pop dot this or we could glue it down flat. At this point, it's up to you what you want to do. I think it could look cool either way. I'm going to use some foam squares. Why not? We'll throw one down here, one down here. I have some that I've actually already cut in half too, so those will fit perfectly right there. And then let's do one here and one here. Let's take a look and do the old push test. I think that's perfect. Let's go ahead and peel these off. Okay, and I just want to match this up with the existing window and pop that into place. Make sure it's straight. Cool. Yeah, definitely would recommend pop dotting it. Gives it a nice dimension. Okay, also on this side, another element we can pop dot, and you do have a series of markers here as well to help you with the positioning of this, is the little ice cream logo. And I'm going to use some foam squares on this as well. I think 4 would do, which is perfect because that's all I have left on this little piece. Okay, and on this pattern here, there's a series of little score marks. They're just little corners, and that's to help you with the placement of that. And there you have that. Okay, I'll flip her around and put the other door in place. Then we're going to put the top section on before we put the awning in, and I'll explain why in just a moment. I already have some of these cut in half. That's perfect. You can cut these with scissors. Just cut them in half to whatever size you need, really. It will stay. or it will cut, I should say. There we go. Let's peel these off. Looking good. This is definitely a little bit of work to this one. Mostly because of the shape, but also because of all the beautiful details. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay. And yeah, so this is all that's left here for this side. We'll do that last, which means it's now time to put our little speaker in and our little ice cream, the big giant ice cream at the top. So what we're going to do here is two ways of doing this. One way is you can put glue on these tabs. You want to put them on the outside of the tabs first, then slide it through, and then push it up against the inside. So it's going to be hard. I can't get a camera in there, but if you can visualize this, there's going to be glue on the texture side, or this side here and this side here, not the underside. There's going to be glue on this side. You're going to put it through straight into this slit, and when you get it in, you're going to take and separate those tabs out so that the part of the tab that has the glue on it gets pushed up against the inside of the roof. Okay, so I'm going to try to you don't need a lot of glue on here. Make it nice and thin, just on the tab portion, just on this portion here. Okay, then take it and slide it through. And get your hand in there. Take and separate those tabs in half and push them up against the inside. Okay, it's going to be impossible for me to show you this because we've got Mylar blocking everything. Maybe I can show you from this angle. Actually, yeah, I think I can. Okay, so I took those tabs and I separated them apart, and there is our speaker. Okay, so the same thing's going to happen with this ice cream cone. We're going to slide that through, except with this I think you can just put the glue on from the inside, spread that apart. Okay, and that should stand up nice and strong for us, like that. Okay, if you want to put the glue on ahead of time, you can. Just keep it thin. You don't need a lot of glue on this, and I don't think it's going to blemish anything on the way in because there is a little bit of a gap there. Okay. Slide it in, and then take and spread the tabs apart and push them up against the underside of the roof. Okay, so that's that, which just leaves this side here, and we can technically put that down flat. We have this little guy that's going to go right here, okay? And you want that to be flush with the bottom of the cutout for the window, like that. And there's two little markers there to help you with the centering of that. Okay, so we can get that in place. And you want the skinnier side up against the car, or up against the ice cream truck, I should say. Okay, get that nice and centered between those two score marks there, and right there flush with the cutout for the window. Okay, just like that. Just hold that in place. Let that set. Okay, and of course we have three little treats here, and these you can either glue on or pop dot, whatever you want. I actually want to hit this with a little bit of blue. Looks kind of boring, all white. And then we just have to glue our awning down. We're pretty much done. Actually, we are done. Okay. So again, with these three little treats, you want to obviously you want to have them so they're sitting on the surface. Use a foam square or glue them down however you want. Kind of like that. Maybe just make sure they're spaced evenly. Kind of like that. And then all that's left to do is glue this awning. We want to make sure at the bottom of it, and you'll see that there's also markers here to help you with the placement. The markers are going to go in the top left and top right corners of our little awning. And all you need to do is put glue on just this part here on the back, Give it a good amount. If you need to hot glue it, that's fine. And I'm just going to take and dab that with my finger. Got a good amount of glue on there. Okay, make sure your fingers are clean. Let's line that up with those markers. Okay, should be flush with the top cutout for the window. Just hold that in place. And there we go. If you want, you can stick your hand in from the inside and push up against the little awning from the inside to really help it get a good grip. And as I mentioned, I'm going to flip these over, and we're actually going to use some foam squares on this. I'm going to finish this project up with you in real time here. Okay. So that little guy's going to go there. Add a little dimension to it. This guy's going to go next to him. Right there. And finally, probably a shake. Maybe it's a blizzard. Who knows what it is? Whatever it is, I'm sure it's delicious. But none for me. I'm on a fast. Okay, there it is. And that is it. So that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure you visit us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find myself and over 40,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So thanks for crafting along with me, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.